Hello, my beautiful soul family, and happy Tuesday. I have a whole slew of things to talk to you guys about today, and I have some props and a whole laundry list of stories. I started at random this video at 111. So we know we're in divine alignment right now with all the messages that want to come through. But this is actually going to be a part of a two-part series I'm going to do because the signs and synchronicities that I've been receiving the last week have been totally insane and actually quite overwhelming. I've had to take a lot of time away from social media. I've had to deactivate my Facebook. I've had to kind of go inward again. And I'm understanding that these moments right now are pivotal for me to do that because I get very burnt out with a lot of the things that are transpiring around me. And because of the way that my human design works as a manifester, I have to take that time away to recharge my batteries and then come back and be able to do some bursts of creative content. And then I have to go inward again. That is part of the alignment that I have to stay in to make sure that I am not burning myself out, because it can happen very, very quickly, especially right now. And the amount of energy I am actually holding for my vision and for everything that I want to see coming down the pipeline. Now, I've kind of been teetering around the theme of these videos that I'll be doing in this two-part series, but there is a big, heavy influence on a couple of key points. One being, what is the legacy that we want to leave behind? What is the story that we want to have told about us when we're no longer here? And I'm not just saying me as an individual, but also on a collective level. What are the stories that we want to pass down to further generations? There's a lot of messages coming through about our divine birthrights and our inheritances that I've touched on a couple of different times in other videos that I got super passionate around. There's heavy focus on past generations, great grandparents, grandparents, and memories that are coming through. And let's see, some cosmic alignments, lots of Mars energy still going on. Mars just came into Taurus, so welcome, Mars. I've been waiting for you, homeboy. And we're just going to kind of go into some of the things that I need to discuss. And there's some archetypal information that's going to be coming through too. I do have my handy dandy little checklists of things that we're going to go through. And I want to start off with the last, one of the last Facebook posts that I made before I took some time away from social media. And it was just for a few days, but that was enough for me to kind of get my bearings about me and to receive the next flood of messages, and then to be able to come to you guys and bring them forward. So there was some heavy influence in one of the posts that I created about past versions of myself. Now, what I did was I shared a photo of myself from 2019 and then 2024. Now, both were very pivotal points in my life. I've discussed before that 2019 was very interesting because that was almost the year where I said enough to everything in my life. I was totally overweight. I was not happy with myself. I wasn't happy in my career. I knew I needed to do some pivots and changes. I needed to do some serious growth. And it was totally wild what transpired in that year, because that was the year that I was called to go to Sedona. I never heard of Sedona before in my life, before I had this inner calling to go out there. And I knew that it was going to be the first of many trips I would be taking on my own. It was my first solo vacation, and it was almost like a test. Can you do this? And what's going to transpire? And are you going to get the messages? And much later on, I realized exactly why I was called to that land and why I had to go. But back then in 2019, I had no clue. All I said to people was, I don't know. I've never been to Arizona. I don't know what's in Sedona. And everybody was questioning me, and I'm like, all I know is I need to go. So that year, I went in March of 19, had my experiences, and probably a big portion of what kind of triggered more of my spiritual awakening. I ended up going home in March. I quit my job in July. I focused on Avery's Garden full time. And then by the end of the year is when I decided enough was enough with my weight issues. I decided to have weight loss surgery. And the end of that year into March of 2020 was the transition of all of that. And when I actually did have the surgery, and then of course a whole nother ton of stuff happened after that. 2024 was interesting because that was another very pivotal year. It was one where I left a place of some stability that I had had for a couple of years. Relationships were ending and doors were slamming, and I was in a total tower moment. Lots of dark night of the soul situations were going on, and that was a year that I kind of had to process a ton of stuff. Lots of loss, lots of grief, lots of misdirection and misalignment. And by the end of that year is when I decided to up and try and have a fresh start in Arizona. And then there's, of course, like a slew of experiences that happened after that. But I wanted kind of to touch on those pictures because reviewing your past selves is also a theme. That's why I feel like what I'm about to share with old memories and lots of photo energy, lots of just revisiting those versions and saying, thank you, I love you, and I am so grateful that each version of myself, going back to when I was first born, all the way up into the person that I am right now in these present moments, is a version of self that has developed, and I have continued to nurture and prune and try and create the best human possible that I can be. And by no means am I perfect. I still have flaws. I still have things that I'm fighting tooth and nail to overcome. But each time I look back and I think to myself, wow, in 2019, I was literally a shell of a person. I had lost Avery. Relationships were totally in an upheaval. I knew my marriage was ending. There was just so much. There was toxicity that I was not keeping good boundaries with. There was, I had basically no self-esteem, no inner worth. I was, I've shared before, there were lots of dark moments where I was, not willing to be on this earth anymore. But each time we go into the past and we revisit those past versions, we can recognize that, we had to be this person because of survival. We had to be this person because of trauma that was passed down. We had to be this person because of, XYZ, environmental reasons, job reasons, whatever the case may be. And when we can embody them, say thank you, integrate them, and move forward, then the next version is whatever you want to write. Whoever you want to be. You can at any moment choose a new version of self, who you want to be. And the one I'm creating for myself going forward is, I think, in such alignment with what I know in my soul I am. Like this beautiful butterfly, she doesn't always notice her wings. She can't see her wings, but she can portray them out to the outside world, and everybody else can witness her beauty. And I randomly saw this shirt at Lowe's when I went to pick up some paint samples, and it didn't dawn on me until I got home that these flowers are cardinal vine flowers, which is my favorite flower for Avery. So, it's just, you got to take these moments and embrace them, and just know that you are on the right path as long as you're following your heart and you're letting go of all of those old versions and just being at peace with them. I don't need to hold on to those stories or there's those narratives anymore. I don't have to look back. My favorite quote that I kind of tell myself at times when my mind is kind of taking me back to those more traumatic moments or moments when I was so hurt or crushed or betrayed or traumatized or whatever the case may be, is I say to myself, baby, you don't live there anymore. You don't live there anymore. You don't have to go back there. You live here now. This is your home. And it makes me kind of emotional when I say that, because we can do that. We can move past those old stories. We don't need to carry that baggage with us anymore. Okay? So lots of energy around that. So I want to take us through, I'm going to use my handy dandy highlighter to keep us on track, because if I don't, then 10 minutes is going to turn into 6 hours. Okay. So what I want to do is share my signs and synchronicities, because this is, again, a way for me to show the build out of everything that's happening. And we are the creators of our own universe. We are the ones writing the script, and sometimes it's unfolding in front of us to show us what's coming down the pipeline. We, like I've said before, came into these incarnations with a plan, with a story that we were going to pass down about ourselves. And this is kind of proof in that what I wrote for myself, my story, is freaking epic. It's epic. And right now I feel like I'm at the crescendo. I'm at the final notes of the pendulum swinging, and it just allowing everything to come full circle. And there's so many of these little keywords that I'm saying are so important, because this section I'm going to talk to you guys about right now, and then I'll do a part 2 video, is, like I said, the build out, but all of these little things add to the bigger picture. And the last few days have been so beautiful, what I'm being shown, and I just can't wait. I can't wait. And I know I have to, because everything is aligning exactly the way it needs to. And sometimes we can sit in anxiety that nothing in our environment is changing, but you have to trust. You have to trust that you wrote this and you knew what you were doing when you did it. So I have been helping my girlfriend redecorate her bedroom in the process of selling the house. And I bought, and I told you guys I have props, so today we're doing prop time. I bought this wallpaper that you can use for, little things. It's nothing fancy, but it was from the Dollar Tree, and I loved it because these are laurel leaves. Now, laurel leaves are very symbolic. They used to make crowns out of these for the victors, and you were crowned with a laurel crown to show victory. And so now the way I run my life is that I don't do anything if it's not intentional. It has to be in an alignment and intentional. And if it feels forced or weird, or like it doesn't really align with my belief system, I don't even do it anymore. So I purposely bought this because I wanted to create a little border around her vertical blinds at the very top, and crown her window with these laurel leaves. Okay. Well, when I bought these, it came in a longer sheet, and I, pieced them all together, and I was short by one. And I originally put another portion of the paper on, and I tried to align it the right way, and it was out of alignment, and it was bugging me so badly. My perfectionist in me was like, no, we don't like this. We have to fix it. And I was like, okay, fine. So I went and I bought another sheet. And when I got to the Dollar Tree, there was a woman in front of me, and she was buying a pop, and she was complaining about the $1.37 or whatever that she had to pay for it. And then she's still kind of dilly-dally, and then the guy rings up my, wallpaper sheet, and he goes, "It's your lucky day." I was like, "What?" And he goes, "That'll be a penny, please." I was like, "A penny?" I was like, "What?" And he said, "Yeah, you're gonna get this for a penny today." And I was like, oh my God, it is my lucky day. Now in the back of my mind, I'm like, abundance, wealth codes, go me. Yeah, I was totally excited. And the woman instantly, throwing shade at me. And she's like, why did she get her stuff for a penny? Because there's always got to be a side looker, right? And she's complaining, and the guy said, well, we actually just discontinued this paper. So when that happens, we discontinue things, it goes down to a penny. Now, this wasn't in a clearance section or anything. I had no clue. So I hand over my shiny penny and I'm like, inside, I'm like, it's building, it's building. Oh my God, get outside because I'm going to burst. And so I get my receipt and, I walk out of the store. And if you've ever seen Step Brothers, where he turns into an adult, and he's doing like adult things and he's got his toilet paper under his arm and he air punches the sky when he gets out of the Lowe's or the department store. Like, that was me in the Dollar Tree parking lot. I did an air punch and I was like, yes! I got this for a penny. I was so stoked. Like, there was like a serious pimp walk to my car and I was like, girl, yeah, rock it. And I was cracking myself up, and I don't give a fuck because I'm leaving Peoria soon. So if these fools see me acting completely nuts in the parking lot, I'm totally good with it. I really don't care anymore. I want to have fun with my life. So I get to my car and I put the bag down. I go to put the bag down on my seat and I find a white feather on my passenger seat. Look at the clock. When I started my car, it was 3:37, which is Avery's birth time. And the song that was playing from my Spotify when I started my car was called "This Is the Best Part." I gotta take a moment because I don't want to cry throughout this video, but it makes me emotional because this is the best part. This is when everything is going to shift and change, and I can feel it, and I know it, and I speak it consistently into the universe because I know what I deserve, and I know that it's nothing but great things, and this is going to be the best part. So there's that. All right, so let me highlight that I told you guys about this. Check. Okay, so I tried to go to Kinsey, and I was not sure what was going on with the weather. It was really dark, overcasted. It had been kind of raining off and on, but I was like, maybe I can just skirt in a quick walk. Well, I get to Kinsey and it's a no-go. It starts to drizzle and it did look like it was going to start storming pretty bad. So I was like, all right, whatever, let me leave. So I turn my car around and I start heading back, and I just am hearing to myself, this isn't denial. This is just redirection. This is just delayed redirection. You couldn't walk today. You have to be at my next pit stop was to go to Aldi, and there's certain things at Aldi that I really like to buy and like snack on, or just healthy things that I like to buy. There's like, I don't know, I'm weird now. Like, I used to love adventuring with food, and now I just kind of buy my standard staples to make my salads and stuff, and I load them up with like olives and artichokes and all sorts of fun stuff. So I always go and just pick up my little oddities there. But I get to Aldi, I pick up my couple things that I needed, and I'm always getting synchronicities there with my quarters, which always crack me up because I'll start with one quarter and I'll put it into the cart, and then I'm like, okay, what's going to get returned to me? Because you always have to do a swap out with your cart and then you get a new one, and I'm always like, oh my God, what's the sync going to be? And it's always so funny in alignment. But this is my geek out, This is the way that I like to interact with the world now. I act like a kid. I really do. Like, everything is playtime for me. And yes, there's some serious times, but I'm done. I'm done with the healing crap. I'm done with like always thinking my life is doom and gloom. I'm just having fun with it at this point. Let me take a sip of my coffee. If you're drinking anything, take a time out with me, have a sip. My coffee, again, lavender creamer. Do it. It's amazing. Okay. So I get to my checkout, and of course there's someone in front of me, and they have a mango box with some of their stuff that they had decided to buy, and on the box is a giant sticker that has 337 on it. Again, Avery's birth time. I just start laughing to myself, and I'm like, okay, what are mangoes? Mangoes are all about abundance as well. So they go into spiritual growth and transformation. And the interesting thing about 337 too is it totals a 13. In tarot, 13 is the death card, which everybody freaks out about. It doesn't mean you're going to die literally. It means that sometimes your past versions of yourself have to die, so there is a rebirth. And that's exactly what's been going on with the sharing that I was doing with the photos, saying goodbye to those old versions of myself, really trying to embody this new version of who I am. And this is an endless cycle. That's why they talk about, who was it, Casey, that talked about it? It's that for some reason is jogging my brain, where it's like this constant death rebirth, constant death rebirth. That's why we can live so many different versions of ourselves in one particular lifetime. It truly is amazing. It truly is at any point you can let your old version of yourself die if you're willing. Sometimes your ego is like, it's hell-bent on saying, no, we're not going to do this. But if you can release properly and you can go into the next chapter, that's when you can evolve into all these other, beautifully amazing things. So I took a note, obviously, and I was like, yes, mangoes, abundance, all good things, and 337, okay, babe, yeah, like, we got this, baby boy, And I went to bag my groceries, and there was a man behind me that now at this point, he was starting to bag his groceries, and he made some kind of little comment. I didn't know what he said, but I looked up, and I said, oh my God, I know you. And he kind of like, took a jolt back, and I said, I know you. I said, you're my friend from Forest Park. I met a man, older gentleman, months ago, and I was having such a shit day. And I went to Forest Park Nature Center, which I rarely go to, but for some reason in the wintertime, I was very guided to go there instead of Kinsey. And this man had approached me as I was leaving, and he was walking in, and he was so funny that day. He was telling me like the world's worst dad jokes, like, I mean, the corniest of the corny jokes. And I just sat and like, gave him like the sympathy laughs. I don't know. I mean, they were generally very cute. So, there was a little bit of genuine laughter, but I was like, oh God, overemphasize the laugh and make them feel special. But he was still super cute and so sweet. And I remember when I met him the last time that there was some kind of weird synchronicity that happened when I left him that first time. And I could not remember this man's name. And I left, unfortunately, this visit, and I didn't get his name, but I think that was for a reason, because it caused me to do something else. But I realized that was why I was redirected at Kinsey, was I had to meet this man at that exact moment. Instant recognition. A lot like Marlene, my little friend from Walgreens, where it was instant recognition. Within 5 minutes of meeting her, we were talking, laughing, crying together, hugging each other nonstop. It was the same thing with this man. There was an instant recognition. I knew him from somewhere past just Forest Park, of something in me. It was like familiar and like family oriented. Beautiful blue eyes. He's 75 years old. He was very engaged with me. Like, we were talking like, not as strangers. We were talking more like, kind of close together or whatever. And he was like, well, what is your name again? I said, it's Tara. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah. He goes, I think I remember meeting you. And I said, yeah. And he goes, what do you do for a living? That was the first question. And I said, well, actually, I'm kind of in a weird transition. I said, for the longest time, I was helping families that had lost children. I lost a son, and I was doing bereavement work for a very long time, which turned into coloring books to help people with trauma and healing from addictions and teaching them about energy work and stuff. Like, I kind of put out materials based on my personal experiences. I said, but right now I'm in this transition because I need to open a sanctuary. And he goes, well, what's it called? I said, it's called Avery's Garden, Living Light Sanctuary. And he was smiling, but he was smiling, and because I'm super observant, in a way where it was a smirk. Like, it was like a side smile where someone does it because they already know something. You know what I'm talking about. It's like it's a smirk. And he did that. And I picked up on it, and I was like, why is he smirking? Because he knows it's going to happen. So he gives me this smirk, and he goes, Tara and Avery. And he said it like once or twice more, Tara and Avery. Like he was like solidifying it with me. Now, this is so important too, is when you're trying to build a dream, do not surround yourself with people that don't believe in it with you, because it's going to be counterintuitive and it's going to block you completely, because you're going to have people throwing shade, misbeliefs, their own projections, lack of support, on and on and on and on. I've been with people who never believed in my vision, never believed that I was going to be able to do it. My ex-husband used to say the infamous line of, it takes money to make money, causing energetic blocks to form in me. And for me to think like this is never possible and how the hell am I ever going to achieve this, and seed those things in based on his perception and his personal belief system. But now I surround myself with the people that believe in my vision, believe in what I'm saying is true, and are there to fuel me. If they're not there to help support me, they're gone. They're done. And I'm sorry, it's ruthless, but I can't afford to waste my energy on people that aren't going to help fuel me, even if it's energetically, because him just speaking it into existence with me and saying it was him telling the universe that this is something that is possible and that is happening. He was believing me. I know he was. The way that he was looking at me, and he was saying it over and over. So I was so grateful that he stopped me and we started chit-chatting, because him just speaking it into existence with me means so much. So if you guys are ever having some downtime and you're bored, just start saying, I can't wait to go to Tara's sanctuary, because you're putting it out into the universe. You're putting it out. You're using the power of your voice to put that into the universe, and it is always listening. So, yeah. Another really interesting thing that came up when we were chit-chatting though, and what seeded even more to come through, was he mentioned longevity of life. We got on the subject of that, and how, the reason why he's so active still at 75 years old, which he doesn't look it, is because he stays active. He goes for his nature walks, and that he also works at Goodwill. And I was kind of perked when he said that. For some reason, I was like, Goodwill. Like, oh, that's nice that he works there, And it was for a reason, because there's been a ton of synchronicities that have happened after that, which have been so beautiful, and where I'll end my story in the next video. But keep that tucked in the back of your brain, is Goodwill. Now, back in 2024, when I left my house, I got rid of 99% of my belongings, and most of them ended up at the Goodwill in Romeoville. They got a treasure trove of stuff. I mean, brand new things for the kitchen, things for your beds, things for the entire house, basically, was donated to this place. My friend had come with her pickup truck, and we just loaded it to the max, and it was like multiple trips. Clothing, I mean, you name it, it was there. Because I just kept saying to myself, I don't need it where I'm going. I don't need it where I'm going next. I'm going to have new things. But Goodwill also can recirculate things that actually do belong to you. They can come back to you in some way, shape, or form. And Goodwill is about good service. It's having a goodwill, having a good spirit, a good soul. And also they have things that are discounted so that other people can have them for their home. And there people go there for treasures and trinkets all the time and end up scoring major awesome stuff. So that's like a little bit of a side note with that whole thing. So I'm going to try and zoom past some more of this stuff, because we're only on day 1, guys. We got a week to go. I hope you're settled in. I think this video is going to be close. We're at 28 minutes right now. I think this is probably going to be like an hour long. So get comfy. All right, so I get done talking to this man. He mentions Goodwill, the longevity of life. Oh, he also mentioned, we had talked about great-grandparents. So that's where another legacy loop had come in, was I never talk about my great-grandfather from Poland. It was on my mother's side. It was my grandmother's father and mother. Never met my great-grandmother. She passed before I was born, but my great-grandfather, he lived to be 102. And again, he was from Poland, and we'll get to that later on. So those were the things that were seeded in. So I get to my car. It's 4:32. So 4:32 when I get to my car. Now, when I'm starting to see these are descending numbers. We talk about things all of the time coming into manifestation. And some of the keys that I'm starting to pick up on is that when you see these synchronicities, it means that the energy is in a downward motion. We spoke it into existence. He said, Avery's Garden, Living Light Sanctuary. And right after that is I get to my car and it's descending back down to earth. As above, so below. That's the way the universe works, okay? And so I was just super grateful seeing the alignment, and it bugged me the second I got in the car, and I was like, dang it, what was that guy's name? But we'll get to that. So in alignment with my wealth codes, I get home, I'm journaling about all this banana stuff, and my friend from Texas messages me, and it's this cutesy little video that says, if you know someone who talks about crystals, signs and synchronicities, angels, is into tarot, blah, blah, astrology, take her to dinner and you'll win $1 million. And I started cracking up and I was like, wealth codes, yes, I'm going to be the first millionaire in my family. I know that I am. And I started cracking up and she goes, well, I'll bring you, you bring me, and we'll both get $1 million. And I was like, deal. I am so willing to share. There's enough to go around for everybody. So I had also what's coming in very, very strongly, and I think I might have touched on this in a post, is union energy, divine feminine masculine energy, weddings, big time weddings and engagement energy, which is really funny because in my last video that I talked about with the rings that I told you guys about in December, or that I purchased in December, the one that I purchased, this one, was technically an engagement ring. Do you remember when I mentioned that? And this is my fire opal. And what's very interesting, okay, so I, on my way to Kinsey, had seen a license plate that said Habibi on it. And I don't know what that means. All I know is I used to have a friend who called his other friend who was, I think that's Islamic. Please don't come at me. I'm so bad with this stuff. So please forgive me if I'm Middle Eastern, descent or whatever, but he used to call him that as like a nickname. So it kind of registered in me. I was like, Habibi, what does that actually mean? Well, it means my love or my darling. It's like a sign of like their beloved. So with this union energy that's been coming through, and speaking of union, I think I have a cat that wants to join us. She's peeking the door open. I've been getting so much of that coming through, is lots of love energy, lots of union energy. And that is also part of what I'm trying to call into my current reality. I'm sick of being single. I don't want to be alone anymore. I've learned my lessons. I've had to go through all these trials and tribulations. I went through my individuation. It's time to come into full union with the person I'm meant to be with in this lifetime. I want my divine partner. And so I look it up and I see it and it's my beloved. And I was like, yeah, I know something's coming down the pipeline that's going to release all of it at one time. I'm going to be like shitting bricks because I'm going to get the love of my life. I'm going to get my home. I'm going to get my sanctuary. I'm going to get my freedom. I'm going to get it all. It's just, my cup is going to just, it's going to explode. Everything is going to come down all at once. It's just going to be a flood. Literally the dam is going to break. That's what I kept hearing this morning. So I, end of the 12th, reposition here, so I'm getting a little uncomfy. It was driving me crazy that I couldn't remember this guy's name. So I start going through my old notebooks. Now, I go through journals like every couple of weeks. So I have like 20,000 notebooks on my bed, and I'm like going page by page, and I was like, what was this man's name? Did I meet him in November? Did I see him in December? And I'm just like scouring. I was pretty sure his name was Dave, or it could have been a Tim. That's what I was ping-ponging on, because I wanted to say it was Dave because I, for some reason, had linked him with my grandmother. That was her son's name, was David. But I've also been meeting a lot of Tims on trails for some reason. So I was like, what the frick? What was his name? So I end up landing on the day of 12/30. Okay. Now, back at that time, I did something that was called the 12 Omen Days. And what you do is you take from end of December into some of the beginning of January. For 12 days, you track all of your signs and your synchronicities, and each each sign that you get in each individual day is assigned a month then for the next following year. So on 12/30, that was the day that I was supposed to channel in messages for May, that what we're in right now. Okay. Can't make this stuff up. So I have some notes here of my word predictions that I just jotted down. I was getting these signs and synchronicities during that day, jotted them down. 337 was coming in huge that day. Avery's helping me through the next portal is what I wrote. Now we just had a portal on 5/5, but we're also in a portal energy of 2 full moons that happened at the beginning of the month and the end of the month. That could be him assisting me into this next chapter, okay? Pendulum swing. This is when you lose literally everything, or you have all of it just disappear from your life, and then the pendulum shifts and poof, everything comes flooding back. And that's been something I keep reiterating, is you cannot lose what truly belongs to you. So there was major pendulum swinging action. Fortune wins and shifts. Photo collage. Again, I don't know why I write these things, but I did. I noted photo collage. Now, when I did the comparison of myself, that side by side from 2019 to 2024, I opened PixArt and I went into photo collage, which I never do. That came through. Okay. New home. Aligned. I was picking up on pan and fairy energy. Opal ring. Now, this is the opal ring that I talked to you guys about on my bee video, where this thing, I've worn it every single day for the last several months, or, several months since I bought it back in December, and it fits perfect. It fits fine, and it's loose. And for whatever reason, that day I went to the hive, it would not fit. The next day I put it on and it fit again. So I had noted opal ring. Well, there was a reason why, because I couldn't wear my opal ring that day. I had to wear my bee ring, my queen bee ring. Okay. Grandpa was coming through in the secret garden. Okay. So amazingly beautiful, wonderful messages from that day. But what I also noted was on 12/30, I had a dream about one of my friends named Shelby. And we're friends on Facebook. We met through some spiritual communities. As I was literally looking at the page of notes of what I dreamt of her that night, she messaged me. We never talk. Like, it's very seldom that we actually have conversation. We'll talk like every blue moon, literally. And that day I'm like reading through my notes, get to the point where I had my dream about her, and then ping, she sent me something, and then I was like, OMG. So we started obviously like having this whole conversation about other stuff. But yes. So 37 minutes of the 12th of May. Are you guys ready to continue? I told you this is why this has to be a 2-part series. This isn't just something I can skip through all of it, because I can't go from A to Z. I'll get to Z and you'll be like, well, where did all of this come from? How? So there has to be a build out. I have to explain it in the way that you guys will understand. All right. So 5/13 is kind of like a more simple day. All right. So I have a dream about an avocado tree. Avocados, fertility, long-term success, financial prosperity, upcoming life blessings, and requires years of growth in order to bear fruit. An avocado tree, it can't bear fruit the first year. It takes anywhere from 5 to 13 years for it to bear fruit. So I'm in the 10-year point at this time of things needing to come full circle. I've done my growth. It is time for all of this stuff to bear fruit. I am the avocado tree. I'm like claiming that archetype is now it's time to flower and it's time to produce some fruit. Okay. So I get to Kinsey and my scarecrow is there. The picture I've been waiting for, that I knew was going to be one of the last ones. I called it, like, when I first saw Dorothy, was, oh my God, Scarecrow is going to be last, and then I will cry. You're going to see me bawling on the freaking 5 o'clock news, because if the Munchkins show up when I need to leave, like officially leave Peoria and move out of here, and my Munchkins show up on that trail, I'm going to lose my ever-loving mind, because I love that freaking forest so much. But so my Scarecrow shows up. Now, the Scarecrow's archetype is so beautiful. It's so beautiful when you really think about it, because he was the innocent seeker. He was so sweet and so docile, and all he was trying to do was find his knowledge. And he was known as the wise fool, and he helped Dorothy on her journey, but his was also about self-confidence. And as I'm reading some of this, what I was thinking about was, in all my videos, you know what I do is, and again, I'm going to start to cry, is I put myself down and I say, I need this checklist because, you know, I have a peanut brain. I always say that. I have a peanut brain and I can't retain information. I don't want to cry. But I am very smart. I am very wise, and sometimes I do things and I don't even realize why I'm doing them until later. And then I'm like, oh my God, you just follow your intuition, and you just know naturally what you need to do and how to pivot and how to change. And I've survived so much shit, but it's because I trust myself enough. And when I realized, you know, I do this to myself a lot. You know, I'm always saying, like, you know, you have to have this checklist, and, you know, why can't you be like the other people on these videos where, you know, they're able to just get on and they just talk and they're so smart and they're so knowledgeable and whatever. You know, why do you need this checklist? I've sat there and allowed these intrusive thoughts to come through, which is exactly what the Scarecrow would do. He would let these intrusive thoughts from other people infiltrate what he already knew about himself on the inside, which was he was very smart. He did come up with all kinds of really ingenuitive ways to help Dorothy. And I do the same, not only for myself, but for other people. I'm always trying to think outside of the box and think of alternative solutions to things. I don't like to be stuck on a post. I don't like to be put in the box, put in a cage. I'm always looking for new ways to help and to assist. And, you know, if someone does something one way, great, but what if we did it this way? You know, sometimes I'll just question the narratives, and it doesn't mean I'm stupid because I have to look at my notes and see what I wrote, or that I go on a ramble for so long and then I lose track of, you know, my thoughts. That just shows that I am, you know, fluid with some of these things to the point where they're just naturally coming out of me. And so his archetype, you know, it is about overcoming some of those things that we tell ourselves, not only from our own personal experiences, but from family, friends, work environments, environmental systems, the government, the people in charge, the people we want to call authorities, anything in the mainstream media, the songs that we're hearing that are telling us different things that we should believe in, advertisements. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And you have to get back to who you are as an individual and to not listen to those voices. And when you do get them, or you do start to tell yourself these different things, is to recognize where it's coming from. Where is the root source? You know, like the Scarecrow was always told, this is your job. You sit on this post in this field and you're responsible. You don't have a brain. You don't have a free will. You just sit here and you guard the farmstead. And then one day he was like, screw this post. I'm done. I want to go on an adventure. So allow yourself that freedom, is to be able to do that. So when I saw his his picture that day, when I finally got to it, I was really excited. And for some reason, his particular photo too was different because it didn't have an orb behind it. Like all of the other ones that were created, which I did find the creator of the of the tiles. I had to do it. I had to go down the rabbit hole. They all have like something in the background behind him, but he's the only one. And his face honest to God, it looked so familiar. And I have to say, it could be like a part of me that I feel like is mirroring out into that art. Is it touched me so deeply because his eyes are blue and he has such a very serious, like almost like there was some sadness in his picture. But Scarecrow is not, he's not stupid. He knows what he's doing. And I've said that recently to some people, is that with all my signs and synchronicities and things I talk about, it can be very jarring for people that don't believe in spirituality or don't believe in manifestations or don't believe in the things that I believe in. And that's fine. I've said 100 times, I'm not here to convince anybody. All I'm doing is living my journey and telling the stories in the process. And, it's like kind of like him too, like he was willing to just see what happens and to show people that he is very smart. And, I want to cry sometimes because I think to myself, like, how did I get to this place where, I have to tell people and make comments like, I know this sounds crazy, but I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. It's like it's sometimes try and convince people that I really do know what I'm talking about. And it's not from an ego place at all. It's not about right or wrong. It's not about any of that. It's just like, I know what's right for my journey. I'm that confident about it. So that's where I'm going to leave that. If I go any further, I feel like I can feel it. Like, when you're going to, you're going to cry and you're like, it's bubbling. It's like starts in your throat for whatever reason. It's festering. I got to move on. All right. So we'll end with this one. It's kind of a funny synchronicity, but I went to a grocery store on my way home, a different one. It wasn't an Aldi, but I wanted to grab a couple of things from another store. So I go and I get 2 tandem license plates. There is one that caught my attention because it said Kitty G on it. Cats have been showing up as another synchronicity for the past several days. And what was really strange is that I've never had this happen. I'm 43 years old. Never had this happen. A couple of nights ago, sound asleep, I'm woken up. My cat's sleeping on the bed with me, to a cat outside the front door meowing. This never happened in the middle of the night to me before. So something was going on, and I feel so bad because I really should have gotten up and checked on it, but I was like half asleep, and I was like, why is there a cat meowing at my door? And it took a minute, and then there she is. Hi! There's my cat at the door. Literally. So weird. You can't make this stuff up. So she wants to say hi. Hold on a second. Oh, hi. Yeah, you do want to say hi. Say hi to the people. Hi, people. Hi, my name's Fartsy Face. Her name is Lexi Lubug. And I love that we were just talking about the cat at the door, and poof, here she comes. It's a grand entrance. So, I see this Kitty G license plate, so it caught my attention because all these cat energy has been big time with me right now. And the cat at my door, I've been seeing cats everywhere in synchronicities, so I make a note in my brain. I'm like, Kitty G. And then her sticker on her driver's side door said, "We the people dare to create a more perfect union." Now, here we are in union energy again, and the fact that the people are uniting, we are coming into collective awareness, collective consciousness, heart-centered consciousness, and there's a lot of really beautiful energy around that I've been feeling in the later part of the second message, because we're getting to the point where I'm at 50 minutes and I've only covered 2 days with you guys. So this might be a 3-part series. So I see this, plate, and I started to think about the union energy again. And I said, this is why we have to start forming really good bonds with people and supporting each other. Is we can make a huge difference. Yes, individually, but coming together is going to be so pivotal in these next, coming years, is shifting the power and making serious changes for the betterment of all of humanity. And it's happening. It's already happening in some of the communities that I'm watching right now, where people are coming together and they're making serious shifts and changes. So as a confirmation, I see this plate, and then I start walking towards the store, and there's a second car that passes me, and it says meow. Literally, just meow. So I started cracking up and I'm like, yeah, confirmation. I know, like, use your voice, speak your voice. We as the people, as we start to continue sharing our stories and meowing at the doors, we are going to see lots of change coming down the pipeline. So I think that's where I'm going to leave this video because, like I said, there's a lot that in this next one, it gets totally bananas. So I think in this next video, I'm going to cover with you guys the day of the 14th, and then we might go into the 15th, but I'm at 50 minutes and I don't really want to have you guys pause and stuff if you watch these straight through. So I'm going to end this here. If you are interested in the next sequence, please stay tuned for the next video, and I'm gonna probably just do one like little video to wrap up the 14th, and then we will discuss all the other craziness that happened after that. All right, I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.